decent time for a trip. I don't think there's any bad weather going on.
No, I hope not. Hey John, I'm cleaning the police station now.
Beg pardon?
I'm cleaning the police station now.
You're doing what at the police station?
I'm cleaning the
Oh,
police
you're
station.
cleaning it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you know, he said he wanted to get rid of those old uniforms down there.
I got nothing.
No,
They have uniforms hanging out down there.
but it wouldn't Razor for Rowan take them? If they take the badges and stuff off?
I don't know the first thing about it.
I told him that they might take them. I don't know. I said you could try. We can do it.
That's all anybody can ask.
He should fire Les, you know, for not coming. Do his job.
Yeah.
He needs to
I
do his
told
job.
everybody I'm leaving.
Okay, who do we got? I saw John out there, I saw Linda out there, I saw Dave out there. I
There's
saw
John,
Rachel,
Linda,
but I did
they're
not
all
see
here.
Jason.
They're all here. Yeah.
You came up the back way, huh?
Well, I had to go to the car. and Get my stuff.
Anybody see Jason?
We have to excuse him, he had a,
Oh,
he
okay.
tweaked his back.
Oh,
He's getting old.
doing the Pepsi thing?
It's something. I don't wanna know what he was
Lived
doing,
in
I
a
didn't ask details.
12 pack of soda.
Yeah,
Years
the
ago.
12 pack, heavy.
Okay, well, we'll add him to the consent.
Let's see here, let me get this going this time.
I said if she took a especially bad one, she ran in the face, make sure you save it and show it to her
Yeah,
when
I'll
she's
use
a
it
teenager.
against her.
Yep.
All right, thank you for coming back in after the rededication ceremony of Tenino Stonecutter. We have several items on the agenda for the work session. Talking about water meters, I think Troy, is he gonna?
He had asked that a gentleman from,
He's probably gonna sneak off, I don't know.
a corporation to come and brief.
Troy, you wanna talk about water meters? Is he coming today?
No.
Oh, okay.
Next,
All right.
next week.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
It's that easy.
Okay, no talk about water meters. Next up is joint statement. Now that the Yelm Tenino Trail Extension Feasibility Study Report has been accepted, the administration would like to discuss the possibility of creating a joint statement between Bucota and the city for submission to the Board of County Commissioners in hopes of having the county prioritize the extension of the trail from Tenino to Bucota and request funding from the Transportation Alternatives Program. What we would do is we would reach out to Bucota and offer to draft a joint resolution requesting that the county make that a priority in their budget. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Okay.
No. Have you already talked to them?
Bucota?
Yeah, have you already reached out?
Mm-hmm.
And they're in favor?
Yep. And the CAP funding is coming up, and I talked to Andy, and he thinks it would be a good candidate for funding. So, and then as far as the western extension, that would be Tenino doing it on its own because it's Tenino's property instead of out in the county. So, if we were going to do that, we would work with TRPC But, you know, I think that it wouldn't be hard for us to ask the county to extend the trail.
Well, you're gonna have to do a lot of, especially with TRPC, CDBG. It's not that we don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the rest of the people that will outvote us. I mean, look how long it took just to get a part of the Young extension done.
Yeah,
It was over 20 years.
yeah,
And why? It's because we're South County, you know, they really don't like putting a whole lot of money down here.
yeah.
The only reason that I've always said that we need to be there is to make sure that we're protected.
Mm-hmm. All
So
right.
far, it's come up a couple of times.
So at the next meeting, we'll have a resolution on the agenda that will speak to both cities requesting the county to seek funding to extend the trail. Next up, ideas for raising revenue in support of transportation initiatives. So we have a couple printouts in front of you explaining sales and use taxes and transportation benefit districts, which we've talked about at some length. So, like looking at kind of the way it breaks down, regionally we only have a sales tax rate of 7.9%. If you look at all our neighboring jurisdictions, we are the lowest. We're matched by Rainier, but Rainier is 7.9%. Yelm is 8.9%. Is that in there? Is that an email?
And they go up to 9.3.
Okay, yeah, 8.9. Centralia 8.2. The way the sales tax is determined is the state gets 6.5%, and then a city can elect to get a 0.5%. Request, they get the first 0.5%, they just kind of sign up. And then the next 0.5%, they just kind of sign up. And those are non-obligated, those can be for anything. So what the city actually gets of that 7.9% is 1.4. The 1% is all that the city of Tenino asks for. There's no city in the entire state that doesn't get that first 1%. The 0.4 of our 1.4% that we get is there's 0.1 for 911 that the county takes. There's 0.1 for criminal justice sales tax that the county takes. And then there's a 0.2 that the county takes for housing. And that's all revenue that they have to share with us. So if you look at our budget, there's always a shared revenue portion. And that's kind of where that comes down. What we are still eligible for is we can do a 0.1% for public safety. The only place that does that in the entire county is Olympia. There's a 0.2% available for for transportation benefit district. Most other jurisdictions do that. Lacey does that. Tumwater does that, and I think Olympia does it differently. They do it through a license tab fee. You can also collect like 0.1% for cultural things, and that one's a little harder, but there's a few places that do that. Lacey does that. There's 0.2% for housing. So there's a number of different ways that you can kind of get a little more sales tax revenue in there. And then there's also tax credits that you're eligible for, and I don't really understand that yet. But what I think we're primed for is doing a sales tax increase of 0.1% for public safety. For us, that would garner around 30 grand that would go towards the police department, and then 0.2% for a transportation benefit district, which would get us somewhere around $60,000 to $70,000, which isn't enough to pave a road, but like we've said before, it gets us the ability to have some money to use as seed money for other projects. It's a 10-year allotment. So if we were to do a sales tax increase for transportation benefit district, there's a 10-year window, and each year we have to pass a resolution or ordinance to designate what money those projects are going to go for, and it's just rolled into the budget process. To do this, they both have to be placed on a ballot, and so we would have to figure out when is the appropriate time to do that and how we would roll that out. But I do think that we've made the arguments before that how you know, how it would be beneficial to us because the citizens of Tenino are the only ones really paying for the services that Tenino provides regionally. So our roads are not just traveled on by the citizens of Tenino, but just the citizens of Tenino are paid for them. Our police department is not just used by the citizens of Tenino. Every day our school gets an influx of students and it doubles our community size, but our citizens are the only ones that are paying for that. If you place this on a sales tax, then it's anybody that comes in and goes shopping in here is helping fund these services and pay for the roads. Any thoughts?
I'm for moving forward and looking at it and determining what you have to, the process you have to do.
I thought for a long time that we needed to increase our sales taxes.
Yeah, even if we were to do that, we'd still be at 8.2%, which would put us on par with Centralia, which is where, you know, Centralia is 8.2, but we'd be, you know, far below, a full percentage below our, you know, neighboring communities. Tacoma's 10.2, you know, so we'd be way below that. Any other thoughts?
I need to see the wording of what it looks like going out to vote.
Yeah, well, that's down the road.
We've talked about the public safety thing before. I'm a line item type person, this way everybody knows exactly what they're getting, instead of saying, well, it's just gonna go into the general budget. I like the ability to say, this is about how much we know we're gonna be getting, and this is where it's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
When I was on inner city transit, and that's why our tax rate is so much lower. Inner city transit tried to increase sales tax rates, but take away our bus service. And I was the one that did the homework to find out that, well, if you take away the bus service, you don't get the taxes either. They fought it for 2 years trying to find a legal way out of it to keep getting our money, and they lost. Okay, so, and then they came back for another tax for North County, and they were afraid to come out, but they were saying, this is what you're going to get.
Yeah.
I honestly believe, in everything that I've ever seen, is if you could say, you will get this for your money, people will say, okay.
Yeah.
But if you're just gonna, if it's going to hurt the police budget, you're just substituting that budget, that's really not delivering what you said you're gonna deliver. So let's say that, just a random number, $70,000 is what we take in sales tax for public safety. So we put it in the police, but take $70,000 out of the general budget to put it someplace else. That's not giving the general public what you said that you're giving them. You're just shifting money.
It depends on how you word it. You know,
That's what I'm saying.
if you are saying, hey, our revenue's falling, and you know, that's something that's a bridge we would cross when we get there. But I hear what you're saying, and it is that, you know, if we're going to go out there, it cannot be just money put into the general fund, and legally you can't. So you can only take 1%. So that, you know, you get 6.5% goes to the state.
Mm-hmm.
There's only an additional 1% that you can take that is unrestricted,
Yeah.
which every city does.
Yeah.
So beyond that 1%
You have to go out
is
to a
restricted funds
Yeah.
that goes to a vote, and so you're restricted to 0.1% for public safety, and then 0.2% for traffic or for roads.
You remember I brought all of this up 6 years ago when I came back on council.
Yeah. So
6 years.
if everybody's still interested, we will move forward with that, and we'll look at, you know, how do we get it on a ballot? How do we make that happen? You know, it wouldn't be something in the next, you know, couple months, but maybe in like 6 to 8 months, I would imagine.
Can you do a special election for things like that, I wonder if
That
that's
costs
one
a
of the
whole lot
things
more
that
It's
money.
more money, yeah.
A lot more money. Last time I checked on the cost, because that was important to me as well, and this is a couple of years ago, it would have only cost us $800 to go into the general election. It was something like 3-4 times that amount to have a special election
Well,
for
that
it.
answers
still
your
isn't a
question.
lot.
Thank you.
Okay, now, the good part about going into the general election next year for 2021 is that it's not cluttered. We got the presidential, we got all kind of the Congress, we got the House, we got the Senate, we got, I mean, just a ton of different stuff on there. The more stuff that's on there, the harder it is to get it passed.
Yeah.
So in 2021, the message is a lot clearer because there's a whole lot less on the
It's
ballot.
waiting around for a long time
Yeah.
though.
Okay. Thurston County determinants of non-significance. This is something that I am not understanding still, so I'm gonna leave it to Mr. Millard.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is just closing the loop on an issue that was brought to your attention and the planning commission's attention. It's a land use action, there was a public comment period. Yeah, and it's about the diesel powered generator set for AT&T's cellular phone tower over here off of Lemon Hill. The comment period has passed. As far as I'm aware, there were no negative comments submitted, so I imagine AT&T will probably move forward with replacing their generator sometime in the next 30 to 90 days.
Okay. Next is marijuana uses. You wanna continue talking?
Sure. So this is how, 3 degrees of separation works at a city. Our contract planner approached us with a question submitted by a potential developer related to a marijuana shop. In researching what it would take for them to open the business here, what we discovered is when our land use planners updated our municipal code to address marijuana sales operations, they failed to address the criminal aspects of marijuana in the criminal portion of the municipal code. So in the criminal portion, it says marijuana bad, you can't have it. And in our land use regulations, marijuana is good, please bring us all the business you can. So in the business session, you will see that we've prepared a proposed ordinance that will reconcile these two different positions. And we felt that since you went through all the work to get the marijuana uses updated in the land use stuff, that you would want the criminal portion to match. So what we're going to do is repeal the current criminal provisions, and we will adopt the state statutes for recreational marijuana possession throughout the city.
Does anybody have any questions?
That's basically boilerplate stuff in front of, yeah.
Okay, next up, Councilmember O'Callahan wishes to review public comment policy.
Yeah. We've gone through a couple of meetings with the new policy, and it kind of makes me a little bit uncomfortable. The reason that it does is since I've been here, our public comment period, people come up to us, and not very often, we don't have a whole lot of people that are always coming to talk to us. But when they do, if they're restricted to only what's on the agenda, and they did not know that policy, even though it's well posted, we all know what happens, nobody sees it. It could be in the newspaper, nobody saw it. It seems that, and I've been through a lot of them, the public comment period is for people to come and tell us what they think about not what's on the agenda, but what's on their mind going on in the city. And if they can only come and talk to us about what's on the agenda, for example, we have one thing really on the agenda tonight, there's really nothing for them to talk about if it's controversial. So by living, and I understand the idea behind it, for example, the 3-minute rule, I don't have a problem with that. Because you get a lot of people in here, you're gonna be here a long time. But if somebody can't just come up because something's been bothering them for a while and say, hey, this is what's bothering me, or on the other side, how many compliments have we gotten since you guys have all been here? We've gotten a lot of those, and that's something else that could not happen. So I think we need to go back to the other way where when somebody comes up during public comment, they can talk to us about whatever they have to talk to us about. The public comment period, as we all know, they talk to us, not the other way around. We don't get to talk to them. So I think we need to go back to the way it was 3 meetings ago, where when somebody wants to come up and have a public comment, they can say what's on their mind.
I tend to agree. I agree with the 3 minute, pretty much everything else. I agree with the 3 minute thing. I agree, you don't need to hear the same comment over and over again when we have 50 people here and they all come up and say the same thing. But like I said, 99% of our meetings are 2 or 3 people here, and somebody may want to make a comment. We do have those occasions where there's a hot issue, and I would rather just deal with the hot issue, even though it's uncomfortable and maybe not perfect. I would rather give people an opportunity to speak on whatever's on their mind for 3 minutes, personally.
Wayne, I appreciate what you're trying to do here, but I don't think it, I think it's counterproductive to what we have. You know, when Mayor Strong was here and he went to the 2 public comment periods, I actually thought that was a good idea. The second one. Yeah, the second, oh, it was your idea?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember who it was, but it was adopted, and I thought that was a good idea, because during the meeting, if they had questions on anything that we said, they can make comment on that. Shut up!
I thought it was me the second time.
You're off now. I'm playing with you. But, so I think we should keep the second one, just in case during the meeting something comes, something comes up and about whatever happened during the meeting. But the first one, I think, still, and we need to go back and just let them come up and say what they want to say.
There's a few schools of thought on the subject, and we're playing with a couple different concepts. The 2 public comment period thing I think is great, and yes, it does allow people to go up and kind of speak on what we've talked about, and I think it gives closure and allows for kind of a closed loop of communication. But in Lacey, this is in the Olympian about Lacey too. There was a big thing, and talking about how no councils in the county allow just freewheeling public comment. We're the only ones doing it. You have to speak on the subjects that are relevant that night. That's pretty common practice. Our meetings are to do the business of the city, not in my, that is why we're here, and not, it's not like, it's not a talk show, it's not, it's not Donahue, it's not a, Jerry Springer, where you come up and you just jazz on about anything. And, I think maybe we can think on this a while, but there is also kind of a false sense of, getting something done. And, Leslie came and talked to me about after the first meeting. He's like, well, I don't like that I can't just get up and talk about something, or talk about, the stuff on the sidewalk that I don't like. And I don't feel like I can go up and do that. And well, Leslie, it's not the city council's job to have public works go out and do things. That's, maybe those things aren't getting done because this is where you're coming to, falsely assume that that's how it's going to get done. When in reality, we have, you go through the administration, you give us a form so we can track it, because honestly, you go up here and you tell me about a pothole while I'm dealing with, you talking about flying cars and Dave talking about solar panels. I'm thinking about this stuff, and then I get an errant comment from a citizen about a pothole, when what they should have done is gone online, filled out the form, asked that it be done, and then it goes into John Millard. John Millard routes it to Public Works. Public Works, when they're finished, they sign it off, and then we say done. And it's not even an issue that comes up here. When it comes up here is if it doesn't get done.
Yeah, and again.
And that's so like there's a there maybe there's tweaks that we need to have done to it, but things like that council meeting that went completely awry. That we don't have many of them, but that one where we ended up in here for hours because not enough guidance or you know, not enough guidance or teeth or, you know,
But that meeting-
authority was given to.
But that meeting wasn't public comment. It started out, and then I asked for it to come on the regular agenda, and that's how it went there. Because we went right into it as a regular agenda item. That's why it got
It
expanded.
wasn't added to the agenda.
They were on as comments under the museum.
Yeah.
And then they thought that they were gonna go up during public comment, and that just there were a lot of misunderstood and miscommunications because the right guidance wasn't there.
Okay. So
And if
to me-
so you know, you wanna get on the agenda, you contact us, we'll put you on the agenda. We never have denied anyone being on the agenda. We might be like, hey, we're full for the next 2 meetings, but 3 meetings from now, we'll put you on the agenda, you can give a presentation. And then is your, well, you know, public comment time. It's just, maybe it needs tweaks, but I think that just having a total laissez-faire kind of way of doing it will also lead to miscommunication and animosity and difficulty.
I think that if they're on the agenda, they can at least say, have you any questions, and we can talk to them back and forth. And we can't do a thing when they're standing up there telling us what is wrong.
Yeah, and
We can't comment at all.
Yeah, I
So I
know.
think them being on the agenda is the way to go. If
If-
somebody's got a real heartburn on something, they need to come, ask to be on the agenda, and then present it.
But a lot of times.
And our work sessions are completely open.
Yeah, I
Work
understand.
sessions are, I mean, it's as loosey-goosey.
Again, I understand the basic concept. I don't think it's fair to try to equate us to any of the northern cities, okay?
It's just ways of doing business.
That's right, because another way of doing the business is to, and this is legal as well, is to flat out not have public comment meeting periods, okay? Which is not something that I would ever advocate for. I've seen the way those work, and it's great for the council members. I mean, the meetings went like this in several different areas that I've been.
But that's how the business meeting should go.
But,
This part, different story.
And there's a whole hour for somebody to
Yeah,
come here
the
and
business
talk.
meeting should be, you know, the business meeting is where we're talking about things on the business agenda. That's not their meeting, that's your meeting.
that's right, and because it's our meeting, I still think it's better to have the general public, when they come here, they're not coming here because they looked at the agenda. We all know this. They're coming here because they found something that's really tugging at their heartstrings or made them angry or whatever terminology somebody wants to say. And they feel better when they come up and they vent for the 3 minutes. And then they
But that's
leave.
not what this is for.
It's
This
been-
isn't
They
therapy.
need to get on the agenda and come up and present.
Do you wanna get something done, or do you wanna just feel better?
Yeah.
You know, the entire time that I've been here, and I hate to pull the old man strings, but whenever somebody has come up at that 3 minutes, we say, okay, this is what we want you to do, go down and talk, and it wasn't John at the time, but Karen Carlson, and then, I can't remember the names of the last couple. Go down there, get this filled out, because a lot of times they don't know that process. So they come up here, they vent a little bit, and we tell them how we can fix it. And then they go downstairs.
Anything when they're on the 3 minute.
Yeah, but then you're holding court.
No,
You
no,
know,
no, no.
King's Court.
On something like that, when they come up, we've always done that. This is how you get it fixed, come see us in the morning. Simple, easy, done. They feel better. It's better for us, because now we know of a situation that's taking place. For example, MacArthur, once a year they come over and say MacArthur is the street needs to be fixed. And we tell them, yeah, we know, we're trying to find the money, okay? There's those little things that make this personable, to make it home. And that's what people like about Tenino. When they know that when they come to council, they can say what they need to say, because this is their home. I personally, maybe it's because I'm old, but I like hearing that side of what they have to say. And for the most part, it's usually things that we can just say, come on down in the morning so that we can fill out the paperwork. A couple of seconds, 3 minutes their side, a couple of seconds our side, they go away happy because they got to vent and they now know the next step. But expecting everybody to know that they need to go down to Public Works or to see John and fill out this paperwork, a lot of times they don't know that. They're all working. We don't get a lot of people in here because, well, for example, me, if I wasn't on council, I probably wouldn't be here because I'm working. You guys know that. There are people that work at night, there are people that work during the day, they have little kids just like you, and can't
I want
find
people
the
to go
time.
where they're gonna get it done. You know, so we have a website,
And that's
and we
why,
have a process for everything, and, you know, going through City Hall, you know, to get what you need accomplished is what we need to get done. It's not, you know, just, you know, complaining on Facebook, it's not just, you know, coming in here and, you know, having some, you know, being emotional and being upset about a pothole, and, you know, maybe, that's not how you get things accomplished.
I'm not saying that's how you get things
Yeah.
accomplished. What I'm saying is, it makes us people, all of us. A website doesn't make us people,
Mhm.
okay?
People feel like they can speak.
Yeah, we're supposed to be the community leaders, we're supposed to be the ones that they can come and talk to. By doing this type of a thing, saying, you have,
But you can from 6:30 to 7:30.
but
From
that's
6:30 to 7:30, we're just sitting here, you know, when we're done with this conversation, we've got 20 minutes where we're just gonna sit here staring at each other, where, you know, Donna could come up
That's so
and,
pretty, huh?
yeah, she could talk about anything she wants, but when the business meeting starts, all that stops, and we conduct the business of the city. And, you know, we can't be getting derailed, we can't, you know, we've gotta make sure the bills are paid, we've gotta make sure the laws are passed.
And we do, and we do. The problem that
It
I
has.
have with the.
There are times that it has been a problem.
Yeah, not very often. You know, I don't always believe in the one bad apple rule. One bad apple ruins the whole bushel. You see the bad apple, you take it out. It's done. You still got a whole bunch of good apples in there,
Well, that's why we took out the comment.
okay? But,
And there's nothing that prevents the council from modifying the agenda once it's presented.
okay,
So like that is, you know, there is nothing that once we say, okay, here's the agenda, and if there's something pressing that needs to be added, there's nothing that prevents the council from saying, I'd like to make a motion to add ABC to the agenda this evening. You might not have all the information you need, and we might say, well, we can't, you know, we can't deliberate that on that until next meeting because we need a week to prepare.
and and when somebody comes up to speak, it's basically the same thing.
Mhm.
For years and years and years, when somebody came up here and they had a problem with their water bill or they had a problem with a pothole, they'd get up there, they'd tell us about it, and we say, go downstairs tomorrow morning and fill out the paperwork so we can see what we can do for you.
I noticed, they've been on the agenda.
No, they haven't. It's public comment. They
There's
come up during the
been plenty of
public
times when somebody's come up and, you know, but really, that is, I mean, okay, but we didn't need to go there.
But when the only thing I think that was wrong with the public comment is people didn't understand, like Tammy when she came, and the problem with the garbage and her neighbors, and then she came up and she wanted us to talk to her about it, and we couldn't because it was public comment.
It puts you guys in a weird position.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
I have
But-
never
but-
felt weird in all the time that I've had to tell
But-
people when we've had to say that. I'm sorry.
We couldn't tell her, and she was very frustrated when she left here because she thought that she should be able to talk to us about it. And I got a hold of her later, the next day in fact, and told her to go to City Hall, sign the complaint, fill it out and sign it. Don't, you know, that's just for you to tell us something, but we can't comment, we can't talk to you about things. And she didn't understand that, and I think a lot of people don't understand that, so.
Yeah, you're not coming to speak to the tribal elders, and, you know, it's not.
Yeah, they are.
And I get people, I get people coming to the shop all the time, come in the shop because they know I'm there, asking me, telling me different things, and I tell them, go down to City Hall. My cousin, Colleen, she's been complaining about a trailer that blocks her view. I said, go to City Hall and fill out the paperwork. There's not a thing that the council can do. So,
Well, that's what we're gonna do, public comments, and we should just move public comments to the work session, so we can have a
it's all right
conversation.
too.
Why have a public comment if we go, it'd have to be on the agenda, there's no reason to be a public comment, if we want to put everything on the agenda.
It is on the agenda, but during the business portion, public comment is in just about everywhere is limited to items that are on the agenda.
I think on basically it's items that aren't, you can't speak on anything that is on the agenda.
No,
It's us, that's.
it's the opposite?
Yeah. That's what most, I think that's what Olympia is too.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched Olympia City Council many times on
It's
Channel
weird, that's
3.
what I never figured out why, because that's what I would think anybody wanted to come in and talk about things that are on the agenda.
Yeah, the ones that I've looked at, it is, the public comment is limited to items that are on the agenda that evening. It has to be germane to the, to the meeting.
See, I'm not opposed to tweaking it a little bit, but it would be nice to kind of maybe add something in there to prevent something, again, that happened before where all of a sudden 15 people storm in and all have something to say, and it's just, the order was crazy, they were
Right.
out of line. That kind of thing can.
Well, that's
Be a
what the
thing.
gavel's for.
Okay, and then I'm
But
gaveling down on
irate people are
everybody.
not gonna
Yeah.
listen
Yeah,
to
no.
a gavel.
I've been gaveled down before
Yeah.
at these meetings.
Well, the names they were calling,
That was, yeah.
you know,
That
a
was
gavel's not gonna make them
inappropriate,
stop,
yeah.
yeah.
The language was inappropriate, and that's,
Chairman, right?
that one incident with the language was, since, I've been here since '96, that's the only time I've had anybody come up here and use foul language when they were speaking.
Yeah.
The only time was that one person. Again,
Well-
one person shouldn't make it so that everybody has to change the way that they perceive.
Because you grabbed that.
Yeah.
There's no agenda for December 19th.
If you go to the MRC website, you can look at like 30 different
Yeah, there's
public comment policies.
what I'm doing now.
Well, it says, yeah.
As I said,
Since we're items not already on the agenda.
not already on the
Yeah, it
agenda, that's
says-
what public comment is for.
Yeah,
That's what it says.
Well, here's, I think I'm reading, Muckletios, a member of the public may request an item be placed on a future agenda while addressing the city council during a regular meeting and or submitting the request in writing. And that's, I looked at several of them before I proposed the ones to you, and that's what I recall.
I like
most.
that as a
Yeah.
potential like safeguard. If somebody makes the comment that, if somebody feels like they're going into City Hall and they're making a request to be on an agenda and they feel like City Hall is not honoring their request,
they come up here
then there should be like a safety valve
Yep.
where they could come up and say, council, I would like to be on your future agenda to discuss this.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
And that's it. That is not, that should,
No,
no,
they
the council,
can't go,
the council should not then be invited into a debate on said issue. Cause it could be something controversial, it could be something dealing with land use stuff, it could be something where if you start talking about it, it's putting you in jeopardy.
yeah, but here's the deal, we keep saying the word if. History shows that we haven't had these if problems. History shows that somebody would come up and they'd complain about whatever it is they're gonna complain about. We tell them to talk to, in this case, John, fill out some paperwork, and Linda's been able to do that because she's there all the time. I've been able to do that every now and then. Somebody would say something and say, well, go to City Hall and do this.
I wanna know when
Okay.
we told Leslie Lamb, sitting up here and he's up there complaining, go to City Hall. We've never said a word to anybody who's doing public comments.
We
Yeah,
have,
we have.
yeah, we have.
But it shouldn't be on you guys to say that,
No,
right?
Yes,
Because,
it should be,
Well, no,
because they're
no.
gonna talk to us. That's why they come here. They want to talk to us.
And they can, but they talk to you individually on the street.
On the
That is
street or
where
here.
you get lobbied. Here is when we conduct the city's business.
To them, that is their business. And if it's their business, it's city business. Because they're not coming to us to talk about their house or their kids or anything like that. They're coming to us to tell us about something about the city that's affecting them. That is their business. We are here for them. I think we should go back, if we're gonna tweak it a little bit, or we're gonna move it to the public comment sector,
To the work session?
to
you
the
mean?
work session,
I'd like to do that.
but they should be able to just say what they wanna say. That's how I feel about it. Maybe it's because I've been here a long time, and I'm just used to listening to what they have to say. But, to take that ability away from the Tenino citizens, I don't
Nobody's
feel
taking
is
any
right.
ability away.
Dan?
If they can't come up here and talk about what they want to talk about, and they can only talk about what's on the agenda, then you're taking that ability away from them. You're limiting what they can talk about, that means you're taking away their ability to talk to us.
No,
Now,
it's trying
on
to
the
put it
street,
in the right place.
This is the right place. Coming to council before everything gets started is the right place. And
Before
again,
everything gets started, during a work session, that makes sense. When the business meeting has started, we have a responsibility.
which we fulfill.
We have a
every
responsibility to the city and the citizens to make sure that business gets done.
meeting. And we do that every meeting. And even the one that you're referring to, we were still out of here before 10 o'clock. Because that's the time limit that we set. And at 10 o'clock, if we still needed to do more, we could sit here and say, okay, either continue on and get this last little bit done, or hold it over to the next agenda. The people that do show up here, that is primary city business.
I get what you're saying, but we should not give a false sense of, this is how you get things done. If you're just coming in here and you think that the public comment period is to make people feel better, that's not real. That's not what it's for. If it is just to make people feel better, that's not helping anyone. That's enabling people. That's, if there's methods to actually get something accomplished and get your pothole filled, that's what's real.
And
If it is just coming in and making somebody feel better and then being kind of fake about getting something done.
Give me an example of one with this council has ever been fake about anything.
Leslie Lamb and his issue of I love Leslie. He's gonna be watching this, but it's hard when the public comment period doesn't allow for dialogue, and then you don't really get to close the loop. The example of he comes in and he says that the flags on the speed markers are fading, and it's creating danger for the people that want to cross the road. He thought in his mind that those flags were there for you to take them and cross the road with them, and we put them there like 2 years prior when we lowered the speed limit to create a marker on the speed limit sign.
Yeah.
And we just have to sit here and have this interaction where he's telling the world that these markers are fading and you need to replace them or somebody's going to get hurt, when that's not real. That's not real.
And we can't comment.
That's not real. That was something that he had assumed and wanted to comment on, but that wasn't a real thing. And so we don't get to close the loop by saying, and I'm not going to put him on the spot. I mean, I am now, but I'm not going to say, citizen, you're wrong. you're wrong, you know, what you're assuming is wrong. Where that needs to take place is down in City Hall, where they're not put on the spot, they're not made to feel weird, you're not made to feel weird, the interaction isn't uncomfortable, and you say, well, you know, this is the rule, this is what we did, this is why it started, you know, so you're kind of in the, you know, you've made some false assumptions.
You don't have to put it that way.
No, what we do is we don't say anything, and then they walk out, and then they don't get satisfied.
Okay, now on something as simple as that, we could have just did it. You could have just picked up the phone and said, Troy, go change those flags.
No, we
Or,
don't change them,
Troy,
we rip them out, because they were never
that
supposed
was
to
the
be there.
second thing I was about to say. Well, Troy, take those flags out, the time's up for them. Or whatever.
Sure. But it was already put out there to the world that we were doing something wrong, and we weren't.
And how many people came and complained about it?
I don't know,
Besides
probably,
Leslie.
I don't know,
And
there was probably, you know, 300 people watching it on TV, and then you've got
a
citizens that
guess.
are, yeah, it is a big guess.
That's
And then you got
good
citizens
guess.
that are watching it, and you know, it creates opportunities for miscommunication
Which is
and
always
misunderstanding.
easy to
So
fix.
while the public comment period appears, well, when it's a free-for-all, appears to increase communication, what it does is it increases miscommunication and can also create bad.
Well, you could say it increases, you could say it increases or decreases, okay?
Mhm.
Alls I know is since 1996, since I've been in this seat, and several other seats that I sit in for this city, we have public comment and Transportation Policy Board, perfect example. When they come up, we ask, you have public comment. Once in a while, somebody will get up and they have public comment, and it's never anything that's on the agenda, it's what's on their mind. People, to say that we're doing this so that they feel better, yeah, they do feel better when they get to talk to us and say, this is what they want, this is what they need to see done. And it is really simple for us, and as the mayor, to say, okay, come down tomorrow morning, fill out these forms so that we can work on it. Real simple. Every mayor since I've sat here has done that. Every mayor. You've done it. Real simple. We had one that got out of control. We haven't had another one like that since. I honestly feel that we need to go back to the way that it used to be just 3 meetings ago. When you said public comment, they got up to tell us what was on their mind. A lot of times, because we all work, Linda's lucky, she's here all the time, so she gets to hear more of it. Just like Frank Anderson, when he was sitting up here, he got to see a lot of stuff that the rest of us didn't, because he worked across the street. Okay? So for them coming up here to point something out to us, gives us a little more information that we didn't have. For example, I should have thought about it, and I know what she's saying is right, is that people come to her because they know that she's on council, they can find her right there, and it's easy for them to say, well, this is what's going on, blah, 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 blah. How do I know? Because I've had some people ask me, and I tell them, go to City Hall, you know, this is your problem, get on the agenda, or just fill out some paperwork to get something taken care of. It's not difficult. And in a city this small, that personal touch goes a long way. Because we don't have money for our roads. By them being able to come up and talk to us here or out on the street, and not have to worry about being filtered, saying, well, it's not on the agenda, so you can't come and talk to us at council meeting. That's not right. They need to have that ability, because that might be the only time that they can come here.
I think the other piece of it is it just gives us a better idea of what people are thinking about, because I don't get calls from people very seldom, even though I do.
That's not what I heard.
Last meeting, I was getting a lot of calls. In general, I don't think people want to reach out to individuals. I think it's more intimidating for somebody to come and call me or call me or send me an email or something. So I think it's just a way for us to hear
I
what
think
people
it's
are.
more intimidating for people to come in here.
Yeah.
I mean, we really don't get a lot of public comments.
I think people are misinformed, that they think they're gonna come here and make a comment, and something is
Well,
gonna
we
be
can-
done about
Well,
it.
See, that's
Make
the
it
other
clear that
part.
that's not gonna happen,
But
then.
that's the other
That's
side
easy
of
to
it
fix.
though, people are misinformed, they think they're gonna come in here and we're gonna fix all their problems right then and there, and then they leave even more frustrated because one, we can't have back and forth, and then two, we're like, alright, well, that was a nice story, but this is what you need to
Well, that's an
go
education
do and
issue.
tell this person your story now.
That's an
I,
education.
that's
issue.
why it would be
Right.
good if it was moved to the work session. If we're gonna have a public comment at all, I think it should be moved to the work session.
I'm all for that.
Yeah,
I think
I
that's
like
a good
that.
solution, and we wanna have a two-way conversation, and
But see, that's just it, if we wanna have that two-way conversation. But public comment has never been two-way conversation. Public comment is for them to come up,
But we'll make it a
tell,
rule.
well, public comment is for them to come up and say what they wanna say, and then that's it. Now, one of the things that we can do during that public comment is just a reminder. This
Every
is a
meeting.
public comment meeting, council cannot respond.
yeah, say that right from the start every time.
Yeah, easy peasy. But by this right here, where they can only comment on what's on the agenda, it might be 10 months before something that's really bothering them is on the agenda. And then by then, they're really hot
They
on
can
the
be on
collar.
the agenda.
No, and so you come in and comment on something that we're not gonna take action on for 10 months.
No, that's not what I
Right,
said.
so-
That's not what I said.
No, it is.
No, it's not. I
They
said it
may
could be
not-
something that, because you say that they cannot speak to anything that's not on the
Yeah.
agenda, it might be 10 months before we put something.
Yeah, so that's what I'm
Let me
saying.
finish.
No, that's what I'm
Let me
saying.
finish. It might be 10 months before that we put something on the agenda, before they can finally come up, instead of that night that it's really fresh on their mind, and they don't have anger starting to seep in.
Okay.
If they,
So you remove the guideline that says public comment is during the business meeting is for subjects on the agenda, and somebody comes in and speaks their mind, and then 10 months later it's on the agenda, do you really think
Do you really
that?
think we're gonna?
Can I finish?
council-
Can I finish?
No, you can't.
Do you really think that when it comes up in 10 months, we're going to say that citizen A 10 months ago, I think what they were wanting was this and that? No, they need to come in when it's on the agenda and be part of that discussion, if they can't, or put it in writing.
You're missing the point.
No, I don't think
it
so.
has to be on the agenda.
No, it doesn't.
I don't wanna-
They should have the ability to come up and say, council, I have this problem with a barking dog that's running around the whole neighborhood and nobody can seem to do anything about it. Then we say, okay, fine, go down to City Hall, fill out the paperwork in the morning so that we can take care of it.
How about we just put a sign right there that says, go down to City Hall in the morning and fill out the paperwork? And then no matter what the complaint is that they would want to make during public comment period, the canned answer is right there, because that's what you have to say every time. Nobody's wanting to restrict public comment. What we're wanting to do is make your public comment effective. You know, if you've got an issue with a barking dog,
And
that's
they-
not gonna get solved here.
That's not the point.
Still better for us. to know
That's
that people
not
are
the
just
point,
concerned.
Wayne. This is their council. This is their building. The stipend that we get is their money. Everything that we do here, except this is my computer and my glasses, but everything that's here is theirs.
Yes.
Including us.
And it's our duty to conduct the business of the city and
And
get the
it's
business
also
done.
our duty to hear what they have to say and to have a time that they can say it.
And we have that.
No, when you tell them that if they come in here and the only thing that they can talk about is what's on the agenda for that night, and what they wanted to talk about is not on the
Barking
agenda.
dogs, which never should be on the
Yeah,
agenda.
but
Yeah.
that's restricting what they can say. That's telling them that if you can't get on the agenda, then you can't talk to us.
All right, 7:30.
Good conversation.
Well, it's not over. We'll keep this going.
I had fun. How about you guys? No?
I'm with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call to order the September 24th, Tenino City Council meeting. Let the record show that all council members are present with the acceptance of Councilmember Lawton. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I saw that, John.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented with the addition to the consent calendar of excusal of Councilmember Lawton. Does that sound right?
Yep.
You got a motion and a second for that? Okay.
Yep.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. That brings us to approval of minutes.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from September 10th, 2019 with no changes. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. That brings us to consent calendar.
Question, what is this enter text here part? No kidding.
This is the consent calendar consisting of September 11th, 2019 through September 24th, 2019. Payroll EFTs in the amount of $25,430.26. Claims checks number 28560 through 28594 in the amount of $38,753.67. For a grand total of $64,183.93. Along with the excusal of Councilmember Lawton.
Move approval.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. That brings us to, we have no presentations. That brings us to public comment. If there is anyone in the audience that would like to provide public comment, please come forward and do so at this time. You'll be given 3 minutes. Nobody's moving. That brings us to proclamations.
Nobody's gonna make a comment.
That's because now they know that if they want to actually get things done,
No,
They have to go downstairs.
Sorry, but then they'll tell them to go downstairs.
yeah. County Auditor, Miss Harry Mall. Sorry, Mary
Don't
Hall
watch this part.
has requested the city of Tenino join the county in proclaiming Tuesday, September 24th, 2019, National Voter Registration Day in an effort to increase voter registration and turnout in our county.
Move approval.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the proclamation of the city of Tenino, September 24th as National Voter Recognition Day, whereas,
Registration.
it says recognition on here.
Mine says
Registration Day. Oh, oops. Whereas registering to vote empowers eligible citizens to exercise their right to vote on election day, and whereas the city of Tenino is committed to strengthening democracy by encouraging voter registration and increasing participation in all elections, and whereas civic-minded people and organizations have collaborated to establish September 24th, 2019 as National Voter Registration Day, and whereas the goal for the 2019 National Voter Registration Day is to create awareness of elections and motivate eligible citizens to vote in the coming months, whereas the strength of our republic depends on the willingness of our citizens to participate in choosing the people who will lead us and by voicing their opinions on important matters that will come before the voters on election day. Now therefore be it resolved that the Tenino City Council hereby recognizes September 24th, 2019 as National Voter Registration Day in Tenino and encourages all eligible city residents to register to vote, signed by the City of Tenino, Washington, this 24th day of September 2019. All those in favor?
Is this gonna be a yearly thing from now on?
Probably.
I wish it would just be in perpetuity, September 24th is voter
I
registration.
think they
Well, I
want it,
think
I
that's
think
the
they want it
idea.
read and recognized every
Yeah.
year.
Is there some
So,
way
yeah,
that we can get ahead of this next year instead of waiting till the day of?
The auditor's office sends us what they want.
Okay.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That was 3-1 with John O'Callahan saying no.
My.
Motion passes. Old business. The term of the temporary position supporting the Department of Public Works is set to expire on September 30th. Director Cannon asks that the term be extended 1 month until October 31st, 2019, in order for the department to finish the activities related to the closure of the quarry pool and to assist in the unexpected volume of water meter issues being experienced at this current time. This position is funded for, so we are asking that the council make a motion to approve the temporary position extension.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. That brings us to reports. Tenino Chamber of Commerce. EDC.
New business is
I
there.
could tell you,
Oh, go
I
ahead.
could say something
New
about the
business?
chamber.
Yeah,
New business.
new business. There's nothing in there.
Yeah.
Those orders in item 6.
Proposed ordinance 906. This will harmonize chapter 10, public fees. Sorry, I wasn't on the agenda, or wasn't on the packet, I was on the agenda. Where's that? There's no hyperlink thing for it. What the hell? There we go. Now, found it. Okay, yeah. Item number 12, proposed ordinance 906. This will harmonize chapter 10, public peace, morals, and welfare of the Tenino Municipal Code with Tenino's land use regulations and state's recreational marijuana statutes. This is ordinance 906, an ordinance of the city of Tenino amending the Tenino Municipal Code adopted by the City Council of Tenino, Washington, approved by its mayor at a regularly scheduled open public meeting the 8th day of October. So this would be the first reading.
Move approval, first reading.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the first reading of ordinance 906. Is there any discussion?
Because we're on tape, this is just housekeeping stuff so that we get everything in compliance and lined up the way it should have been a while back and that we missed.
Hearing none further, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Chamber of Commerce.
The Chamber of Commerce has hired, or put in our, we hired George Sharp, Thurston County Economic Development, to buck up our membership. He is presenting Thursday night spotlights on the different businesses. All they have to do is submit the information to him, and he puts it up on the Facebook page. He's been all over with the camera, his camera, putting things on our Facebook page, events that are happening. Well, he was here tonight. I think it's going to work out really well. He's going to devote 5 hours a month, I think it is, to us.
Oh, it'll be more than 5
Well,
hours.
you know it will.
Yeah, he's already put in 5 hours
Yeah.
this
He's
today.
being paid for that
Yeah.
through, we're paying, it's a contract with the EDC.
It's a good reason for him to come down to Don Juan's.
Okay.
All right, that brings us to VC.
Want to talk about the elections? We're gonna have the new elections for the chamber here soon?
Well, yes, we are actually, but I don't know any more about it.
Oh, okay.
We're looking for a president, we need a president.
Nominations are open.
Nominations are
That's
open.
that's
I
where it
nominate
stands.
John Miller.
Yeah,
President of the chamber. Good job for you,
Nice.
really,
I
seriously.
think you'd be really good at it.
pays well.
We thought we had one
Add a couple zeros to you,
in the bag, and she is downsizing her life, Cheryl Pierce.
Oh.
Yeah, we're very disappointed, but. yeah, she's-
Well, maybe Tyler's gonna have to keep it up.
There you go.
Poor Tyler.
It's gotta make it an even six.
Yeah. All right, that brings us to museum.
Museum's closed for the year. I've got to call somebody tomorrow about Wood and Money. The dinner's coming up. I heard October 9th, but I'm not positive of the date, our end of the year dinner. And that's pretty much it. And the Facebook page seems to be growing a little bit more all the time. Last time I checked, we were just a few people short of 600. I feel pretty good about that considering the size of our museum. One of the things that we did have a problem with, and Troy's taken care of, so he's not here, but thank you, Troy, is the lanyards for the flagpoles snapped or broke or something. So they've been replaced except for one, unless he said he was gonna try to get to it today. So all those have been replaced, and he's been up there to get the leaves out of the gutters and all that kind of good stuff. So it's pretty much buttoned up for the year, except
Awesome.
for the Facebook page. And I've got October 3rd, I have a bunch of visitor convention type people coming down for a tour.
yeah.
So can they still request to
Oh,
put
yeah.
it on, just like we have in the past?
Yeah, always. You can get a hold of me through Facebook a few days ahead of time, and I'll make sure that it's open.
Okay.
During the winter or like
Yes.
fall.
Yeah. Anytime, even during the summertime, because they're open on Saturday and Sunday, not the rest of the week. Get a hold of me and I'll get it open.
Okay. Civil service?
So on behalf of the Civil Service Commission, I think you are all aware that they've been wrestling with their civil service rules. Well, come to find out, the current chair of the Civil Service Commission is the one who signed Ordinance 849 that actually established a very comprehensive set of guidelines that should have been codified in our municipal code. And in fact, at one time, they were in our municipal code. What happened is they, shortly after that ordinance was published, they wanted to amend some of the language in the definitions chapter. And one of my predecessors included in the title of the ordinance, an ordinance to amend chapter 2 of the Tenino Municipal Code. And then it said, and repeal,
So technically,
certain remaining chapters. And if you look at the body of the ordinance, there was no repealer language in there. The intent was just to amend those definitions. Well, the code publishers read that, and that's exactly what they did. They took everything but the language they wanted to change.
Oh my God.
And so it just got to be a mess. And I found this out, why? Because we're researching the marijuana thing. And there's a whole, I don't want to overstate the problem, but there is more than one ordinance that was published and so therefore is valid, but did not make it to the codification table. So I'm working with MuniCode. We aren't going to do anything. They're going to undo the deletion and bring back the civil service rules, so we can put that argument to bed. The commission won't have to deal with it. The marijuana thing, and then in the land use regulation, this is a little off topic, but we caught it. Again, in the land use regulations, when they went to put the first round of regulations in place after the legislature decriminalized the recreational use in 2013, they tried to amend it and put uses into the code, and
It got all messed up.
in a portion that was already occupied by another set of statutes. And again, it's because the ordinance that did the work was never sent to the code publishers. So everybody committed the same error that a lot of citizens do. They read it they read it online, and they come in and they were correct about what it used to say, but they don't have the ordinance to go with it to what it says now. So again, I'm trying to clean all that stuff up.
Okay. Planning commission. They met last week.
They did meet last week, and the most significant thing that came out of that was the commission agreed with Planner Penrose, because their agendas are looking very light for the next few months. Planner Penrose is going to use the State Department of Commerce's short course on local planning curriculum to have a block of instruction at every planning commission meeting from now through the next 6 to 7 months. So that's a good thing for a couple of reasons. One, the longest sitting commissioner on the commission is the chair, Will, and he's got experience, but everybody else is relatively new. So this will give him a really good educational foundation to make the decisions that we ask the planning council to make, or commission. And it's an opportunity for citizens to come in and learn about it too. So we're gonna highlight that. We're asking, the media around here to do a public service announcement. If citizens wanna come and learn more about municipal planning, here's an opportunity for them to do that.
Okay. Facade Improvement Grant Review Committee.
Haven't had a meeting.
Okay. Chief of Police,
Just had a meeting.
he's not here. He is, he's headed to Colorado for a week. Director of Public Works, you saw him earlier. He wants to talk about meters. City Planner, City Attorney, Clerk Treasurer.
So our budget's doing better. You can see by my report there now that revenues are catching up with expenditures, and both of those are well behind our projections. So we're starting to see the money come in that we projected, but it's still lagging expenditures a little bit. I'm not uncomfortable about it at this point because we will get our dump of ad valorem tax money here next month.
Where's your report at?
Yeah.
It's attached to the staff reports.
Weed taxes start getting collected next month too.
Say again?
Real estate,
Yeah, it's right after the.
property
Click
taxes.
on 15, go down a little ways and it's,
I hate this new program.
Did you find it?
I don't have a link to it.
Okay, hang on just a second.
I'll just look at this, because I don't have a link to it. I didn't have a link to the civil service thing either. Do you have a link to it, Rachel?
I'm froze right now. I was checking.
Oh.
She's checking score to
Stuck.
score.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I see.
Yeah, she's stuck.
It's thinking.
Yeah, if you, the number 15 out there that has a hyperlink on it, it takes you to the little page and then my report's right
I
there.
don't have a
Mine
hyperlink,
didn't.
that's what I'm saying. I don't have a hyperlink.
Anyways.
And that's not working, maybe that's the battery. But I can look at Bill's.
sure.
Yeah, he's good at sharing.
New.
It's like you're in kindergarten.
Yeah. I'm glad I didn't forget.
So I finished, I'm way behind this year. I finished our worksheet tool just a few hours ago. So the other department heads now and the mayor and I can sit down and start manipulating the numbers.
Now I have it.
Did you have to refresh or something like that? Yeah.
'Cause I think I opened it before you had posted it.
Oh,
And I
maybe,
just had
yeah,
it.
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe.
Keep talking, sorry.
So that tool's in our hands now, and we can start, what-ifing everything. A lot going on with our projects. So I told you that the city engineer was looking at helping us out with the quarry pool renovation. He has identified a potential contractor that appears to be willing to do the work that we want done. And he's asked to meet with the Public Works Director, the mayor, and I tomorrow at the quarry pool at 1 o'clock. Don't know what will come of that, but it's moving the ball down the field. We've received the whole reimbursement for the chip seal funds, so our bike plaza got paid for. The quarry house, you all approved the scope of work last meeting. The engineer is scheduling the architectural review. Just today, we got the contract from the Department of Commerce for the sewer and water line extension to the Ag Park property, so that's locked and cocked. We'll start claiming reimbursement. We've got a couple of invoices from the engineer on his design work on that. Gibson Olson is preparing a scope of work for the sewer line extension. I told you that last month, or last meeting I should say. And our new wide area network service provider we've got the contracts executed and they are preparing the equipment that comes as part of that contract for us. And either late this week or early next week, they'll be on site to start installing that equipment. I mean, we're cutting it really close. Every day I come in, I expect our server to have crashed, so it, can't happen soon enough. But it looks like on 1 October, we'll make the switch from Antigua to Wright Systems, and it'll be pretty smooth.
When do we get our new?
That'll be in the, that's not in that.
That's not in
That
that
would be,
packet.
that would be in the budget next year.
Pending your questions, that's my report.
Yeah.
Just a couple more months. We got a lot of mileage out of them for
We
being
did.
pieces of junk. Next up, Mayor, I have no report at this time. Be that. They're looking for volunteers. CIP,
Didn't come very prepared.
Solid
Oh,
Waste,
I haven't had a meeting since our last one.
Solid Waste Advisory Board, SWAB.
We haven't had a meeting either. I did hear something interesting. I guess Olympia's not gonna be collecting glass anymore, which I think
Yeah.
glass would kind of be one of the ones that would be,
Why?
you know,
Why are they collecting glass?
I don't know, it's just too
So
hard.
that
to
would
control.
restrict a bunch of their
Too heavy,
recycling too.
too expensive,
So
that's what
it's
I read.
another thing that's going to the dump.
That was like the first thing that was ever recycled,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
glass, you would
Yeah.
think would be the,
Yeah.
Like
one
when we
of
were
the easiest
kids, they
ones.
recycled glass.
So the newspaper made fun of them.
Yeah. So, yeah, we haven't, other than that, it's nothing from, since last meeting.
Okay, TCOM. Tenino School.
Can I mention something
Yeah,
about that?
go ahead.
They asked, did we send them a confirmation that we had voted that thing? Did they, or were we going to send them some kind of confirmation from the city that we voted,
We
Support there.
sent them a copy of our resolution.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't make a big deal out of it, I just sent it to them.
yeah, they asked me a while back, so,
Well, I'll follow
because they
up.
hadn't got it right afterwards, but I can check, double check and let you know if they haven't seen it for some reason.
School Board,
I know it part. Nothing new.
TRPC,
TRPC, and no meeting since their last meeting.
Steady.
The last meeting,
It was a good one.
yeah, it was.
A good meeting.
I got up and spoke a little bit. John filled Steady in on exactly what he told us again tonight. I can't even remember what I told him, because I was just writing stuff down as we went along. But the important part that I thought was Cheryl was there, so which was perfect. And I didn't mention her name until the very end, but I felt that she deserved a lot of thank yous for all the work that she's done for the city and just about anybody in Thurston County that needs something. If they come to her, she usually is able to say yes. I felt there was at least something that I could do. And that tends along with some other things that I've been doing on Facebook. Whenever I find somebody out in the service area that's doing something above what you would expect, I'll take a picture of them and put them on Facebook. And one of the first ones that I did was this guy that over at Best Buy, and he was doing sign language to help somebody that couldn't speak. That's all they could do was sign language. And because of that, when I saw Cheryl there, I had to thank her. To me, that was the most important part of what I was saying. And again, John got up on the second half, and he told everybody at Steady exactly what he told us here tonight.
All right, TPB.
We had, or I hate this word, retreat, and it lasted all day. It was pretty interesting. There was one part that, because we look at things at a 50,000 foot level, there was a section that they went through on empathy that I thought was more apropos to something like inner city transit. But it was a very interesting section of what we went through. And then at the end, they asked, okay, what should we talk about again next time? And since we only did this I think the third one maybe, I brought up technology. Autonomous cars, flying vehicles, And I used my drones as an example of why we need to start looking at this stuff. They've got drones out right now that all that technology is going into cars. Anti-collision avoidance, all that kind of stuff. And Graham Sackardson agreed with me.
All right, public comment.
There is something, I meant to go down to the state capitol today. They have a transportation, I'm not sure if it was a bill or just something that transportation is looking at. And part of it is dealing with autonomous vehicles and flying vehicles. So I want to go down and take a look at that. see what
Thank you.
they're looking at.
Public comment period number 2. If there's anyone in the public that would like to provide comment, please come forward and do so at this time. You'll be given 3 minutes. Announcements.
I should have probably brought this up in the working session and I forgot about it. Bernie Hewer, who's a long time resident of Tenino and a Lions Club member, passed away. And Ray, looking through some things, he's our secretary of the Lions Club, found a plaque. And I don't even know what it says, but he would like permission to put it on the gazebo that the Lions Club built.
Let's see what it is. Make sure there's
Yeah.
no profanity or
Oh,
weird stuff.
I'm sure.
We'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
Linda language, so it'll be
I'll
fine.
let Ray know and we can just bring it down and you guys can look
Okay.
at it. And I'm sure the guys will probably put it up unless you want
Yeah,
the
no, we'll
clerks
have
to do
public
it.
works do it.
Okay.
Okay, one other thing about the museum, I don't know if it's common knowledge, but I had a joke with Don Montgomery that he can't die until the building's done. He passed.
Oh.
Yes, he did.
So he doesn't get to see the ribbon cutting and everything that goes in it, stuff like that. But the building is done and he passed. I was sad about that. Apparently the services will be sometime next week.
Yeah, in Rochester, at the LDS Church.
Yeah.
I don't remember the date, but if anybody is interested, we can get it going. With no further ado, meeting is adjourned.
Non-debatable motion.
And I love it.
Again, I sent you pictures of the statue rededication to your email.
Oh, what time was that?
6:30.
It was 6:30?
Yep.
Okay. Because I came by at 6 and took some pictures of the statue, just in
Okay,
case.
well, I sent some pictures with everybody.
Okay. And John, thank you very much for providing me with a photo from the memorial wall dedication. I had left my camera in Chehalis on Wednesday and I didn't have time to go get it.
Here's the funny part. My good camera like that,
Uh-huh.
the batteries were dead. My backup camera like that, the batteries were dead.
See, Donna, thank you.
Good thing I had a third one.
I was able to
Not cameras.
help remind you to charge the battery.
Yeah.